What's up, guys? So this is the third time I'm making this video and I'm going to try to wrap it up. I mean, nobody wants to sit here for 20 minutes and watch me, so I'm drinking my pre-workout and I'm going to tell you what has been going on since my last video, which was a while ago. Not only am I not getting paid for YouTube, so it doesn't matter. Time is of the essence now in my life, so I don't care about YouTube. I don't care about War Thunder. Nothing matters. You know, except the day-to-day, getting through the day, and that's it. Trying to get through the day as happy as possible, and then wait, and then go to sleep. So, not even worrying about the future. There's nothing to worry about. Just getting through the day as happy as as if there's no tomorrow. So, as you know, I took my 2015 WRX, pro-tuned, with the Cobb Axle support, to this auto dealership in Tequesta. I traded it in. They gave me $6,300 back. Originally they only wanted to give me $600, but I talked them into $300 because the front tires were pretty bad. They weren't awful, but they were Michelin All Seasons 3, which I did not like. Okay, so instantly I'm just like, you know what? Let me at least buy matching front tires so that I can get Continentals in the rear and Continentals in the front. And I opted for the top of the line Continentals Extreme Contact for the front. And in the back are the Continental Extreme Contact All Seasons, which have more tread, which is fine for the rear because trust me, if you had low wearing tires, you're gonna burn through them in this car from the power. Unlike in the WRX, guys, this is true power. There's more power in this car, just even stock, completely untuned. And whereas the WRX wins in just like maybe handling specifically, my car did because it had the upgraded rear sway bar and all around new tires everywhere, and the suspension was just perfect. Okay, so knowing that, I go to test drive the BMW, and all I'm focused on is the air working? Is the top leaking because it's a convertible? How's the radio quality? Okay, radio quality blows my WRX out of the window. Okay, that's good. Blows it away. It does adjust volume on its own because it's a convertible. It does some very strange things that were probably way ahead of its time. It adjusts volume if your car is getting too loud. It's so crazy. And it is the upgraded one. There's 3 trims to it. I can't tell you which ones exactly they are, but there's a base, a hi-fi something, and then like a high fidelity plus. And one just adds like an amp in the back, so it's extra loud or whatever quality. But it's plenty, way better than my WRX because it's got tweeters and the A-pillars. And then mid-ranges here, and then there's some sort of bass unit that I can't see under the seats. Can't even see them. Because I'm like, where the hell is the bass coming from? But it's got bass, and none of the car doors rattle like in the WRX. If you turn the bass up too much, they rattled, so it was super annoying. You almost had to turn the bass down. And so that's why most people just add a subwoofer to the WRX, or they separate everything. Anyways, long story. So when I'm test driving the Beamer, they give me an extra $300. They mounted and balanced the tires for free at their shop. Great. So far, I'm loving the experience from this place, and I'm not going to tell you the place. Even though I can recommend getting a car from them, I can't recommend them 100% because of the experience I had today. Even though it's not their fault, and I know they don't want to lose money. Nobody really wants to go and, he sees me as probably just some young punk, even though I'm probably older than him, honestly. I don't know how old he is. He could be the same age or similar, close to, he's probably younger than me, actually. I just look young because I work out and I just had like a young face, like my whole life, really. But, so long story short, when I test drove the BMW, I was just focused on every single aspect of the car except the actual suspension. And I should have really thought about it more, but I was mesmerized by the power of this car. So when you get in a car like this, coming from a manual, And you know, BMWs are known for their fantastic automatic transmissions. I'm not making that up, and it's not sarcasm. It's still a ZF 6-speed. It's not the ZF 8, but I don't care. That doesn't matter. So I lose some gas mileage, but it doesn't matter. The car is fun as hell to drive. Aside from where I'm coming from right now, which is the suspension. I believe, to my dying breath, that the suspension is basically shot. Now, it's not shot to the point where you're all over the road and, you know, it's dangerous and it's veering all the way, you know, it's all over the road. No. But if you're going at a high speed and you hit a bump, the wheel, especially in the passenger side, it feels like this. It just feels like this. So here's like the inner part of the wheel, and say the tire's like right here. It feels like this. And you can just feel it going. You're not supposed to feel bumps in the steering wheel. Like in the WRX, I never felt that. I never felt anything connected to the steering wheel like flubble around. Now, is that just the BMW? I don't know. I drove a bunch of junkier cars, like the Hyundai Genesis, that didn't do it either. So I'm like, I think that the suspension basically is what it is you have like the suspension travel. I think that it's just so weak that the springs are doing a lot of the work. So the springs are very good. They're the sport springs. So the sport springs and the good rest of the control arms and whatnot are doing some, you know, they're doing too much leg work, and the shock is so easily compressed that it makes noise. It goes psh, psh. That pretty much means that there's no pressure up there. And I told him that, and I tried to be just please listen to what I'm saying. I don't want to have to do anything drastic to try to get my money's worth out of you. He could have just said, you know what, all right, you order these shocks, I'll give you, you know, I would have been happy with 500, say 500. So he gives me $500. In theory, I would have walked away completely satisfied. But instead, is what I was getting was, your shocks aren't leaking. That doesn't mean anything. The internals are junk. They're old. It's got 46,000 miles on it, and I wouldn't have bought it if there was a highway around here to drive it. I would have hated to let it go. Okay, I'm just gonna admit, I would have hated to let this car go. Somebody would have bought it and probably been 100% satisfied with it. Although I can't see how anyone with any sort of knowledge would drive around a car with suspension like what's on this car now. It simply drives strange. Whereas if the road is perfectly fine, like most roads in Florida, nice and straight, and you're just going, oh, it rides great. You would not know. It's when you start hitting bumps and strange, like weird bumps. Like if you hit a bump on this side and a bump on this side at different times, the car feels like it wants to almost lose control, but it won't, because it's so well planted and it's got such nice tires on there right now. So, whereas the WRX, man, nothing affected that car. I could be going so fast, 100 miles an hour, the road felt like glass, and that's what any car should feel like, especially a top of the line, even used BMW, if it had been maintained 100% properly. Now, they maintained it really well. The top is maintained very well, still works completely perfect. The engine seems maintained perfectly fine. I got no check engine lights, no codes, no nothing. I have a little bit of a brake squeal, but he said we looked at the pads, which now did you really look at the pads? I don't know. Does squeal a little bit, but the braking is absolutely fantastic. Braking beats the WRX hands down. There's no comparison. If I want to stop, trust me, this BMW is coming to a stop. But then but when I take off, even with a little bit of gas, the front end lifts up. Which, come on, the car's supposed to be dead stiff. Come on, the WRX didn't even do that. I mean, the WRX, the only time it would really do that is if I just absolutely blasted the turbo from, like, if I'm going like, say, like 10 miles an hour and I just blast it, then I get thrown back in the seat. But I didn't really visually even remember seeing the front come up off the car. So that's just maybe my imagination. I don't remember it. I'd have to watch the videos, but I don't think it did. The car was dead stiff. with excellent suspension, miles above this BMW suspension wise, and that's the only thing that's different. Even the BMW's got great seats, not quite as soft and comfy as the WRX's seats, but you don't slide around in them. So there is positive and negatives to each car. Power wise, there's no comparison, guys. I'm sorry to say, you think your WRX is fast, it's not. This car was literally under-tuned from the factory. I don't know why, but everyone knows about it. You put in even like a stage 1 tune on this, and you gain 50 horsepower. And I think it's 50 wheel horsepower. Anywhere from 40 to 50 wheel horsepower. So you're running your 350 wheel horsepower car instantly. It only loses a little bit of horsepower from what is rated at. It's only rated at 300 horsepower, but 300 horsepower and 300 torque. So it's even. You're getting the exact amount of horsepower with the exact amount of torque. There's no variances, and you can totally tell because everything is just so linear. The power is so linear. There's no getting thrown back in the seat at one specific time and then the car just dies off. It usually it doesn't even feel like a turbo. It really doesn't. Except when that back end wants to go out, it will, and then it will rev out like a turbo. So I've only done that once in the rain, and it was scary as hell. Never did it again. So I don't care how good the tires are on the back of that car. If you want to turn traction control completely off, the back end will go out in the wet. I don't know if it will completely lose it in the dry unless you're really trying to whip it out. Maybe like if you're trying to do a donut or something, but I haven't tried that because the suspension just feels off to me. So I'm not going to try any weird stuff. It just didn't feel controlled, guys. That's what I'm saying. Is I go around the corner and I gas it, and that's what happened. Is the back end came out, and then when I tried to regain control, it didn't want to snap in, because I feel the suspension is weak. So if the suspension was where it should be a nice swing out. It should come right back in and be controlled, and it's not. And that's why I went and demanded / begged for this guy to give me some discounts or whatever. I really don't know what I was asking. I don't know what I was asking him to do, but what I was trying to get out of him was that, yeah, I can see this car needs shocks. Here's a check. So in the end, what happened is I ended up taking. He let me do this now, guys. He let me do this. I said, you know what? I gave you in good faith my cab access port. And I said, nobody would have sold you this car with their cab access port. They always would have just resold it. It's worth $500. He goes, all right, I don't really need it. And that's where the funny part of the video comes in, is he doesn't think he needs the cab access port. Not only was the car not only just a stage 1, it was a stage 2 pro-tuned car, and he doesn't think he needs the cab access port. So that is where the video gets absolutely hilarious, and the story will probably continue in some aspect. I just hope it doesn't get too dramatic, because I'm gonna sell the cab access port one way or another on eBay or whatever. And if he wants to buy the cab access port from me again, things are gonna get weird, because I completely unmarried it from the car. It's fully uninstalled. Now the car is gonna pop up codes. It's basically bricked. It's basically a stock car with a bunch of modifications, and it was specifically tuned for that car. So by simply ignoring my request for getting shocks, he just cost himself, in theory, a complete sale of $23,000. It is what it is. Who's gonna want to buy a car with a check engine light that won't go away? Now, will it go on their test drive? I don't know. But when I was driving it, and they gave me a temporary tune for the car when I first got it tuned, and the check engine light came on within 10 miles. So 10, 20 miles, something like that. No, of course no one's gonna drive this car for 10, 20 miles. But once they drive off the lot and that check engine light comes on, guess who's gonna be at fault? this guy, not me, but this guy over here at the dealership, I simply asked for new shocks. Now I wanted these Bilsteins with these performance springs and everything. That was denied. Okay, so I had to go cheap. I ordered some Coney Active Sport Technology struts and shocks. And they're supposed to adjust automatically. Unlike where you have to tune them and do all that crap. Nah, I didn't want to deal with that. I want shocks that are just going to adjust to the driving conditions in a real world scenario. So hopefully, and they say that they go well best with the stock springs. So that's the scoop. He basically, not knowing any better, I told him when I sold the car too. Okay, guys, this isn't like I didn't tell him. Nor did I just drive up and just take my car back to the support and say bye, because I wanted to deal with these people. I felt like they were really cool guys. I really did. I wanted to deal with them on a continuous basis and have them, you know, if anything goes wrong with the BMW, I would gladly go for them to help me out. And, you know, if anything stupid pops up, I would have totally went there. But now it's like I really don't know what's going to happen. But I thought you guys would find this story very interesting. So I don't know how much he literally cost himself. It's just in a theory that instead of giving me, say, $1,000 or even $750, you know, or even $500, guys, he's costing himself a brick Subaru. That's it. I thought you guys would find it very interesting. I find it interesting from a YouTube perspective as I watch videos with, like, you know, the Mustangs have the barbecue tick and they gotta go to the dealership, they get this replaced, they get that replaced. I watch a bunch of car videos just with car problems. I find this story very interesting, and the shocks are coming, so that's that. Luckily I didn't order the Megan Street coilovers, because I've heard, you know, I'm probably gonna trash the ride quality of the BMW, which I probably would have. So I basically just got replacement, like they're sort of OEM but better, and that's all I wanted. I just want the car to drive like it should. So that's the story. Comment below on what you think is gonna happen, because I'm curious as well too. Peace out, guys.